I wore a shirt today that I think is apropos for the video I'm bringing you today. I'm going to let you see what it says. It says, do what you love, love what you do. We all heard this motto before. And when it comes to medicine, a lot of times I think it's not that we don't love medicine. We just may not love where we're practicing medicine. So today I'm going to interview a PA. Her name is Jen. She has worked at the VA for many years and is going to give us an insider's view of what it's really like.
Hi, this is Jen, and I've been at the VA now for the past 7 years.
There are special things about the VA. It is a different world in many sense. So that's kind of what we're going to dive into today. What are you actually practicing at the VA right now? What specialty are you in?
Right now, I'm working in infectious disease on the outpatient side. Actually, part of my time now is also in a leadership type role. I'm the lead physician assistant at the VA that I work at in Baltimore, Maryland.
Sometimes it seems in some healthcare systems that NPs, we're kind of grandfathered in as far as nursing being administration, and so they tend to have a leg up basically. What has been your experience with that at the VA?
As far as PA in leadership, we have a main national PA director, but PAs at different facilities can be service chiefs, section chiefs, program managers, and even directors.
Let's talk about what makes the VA kind of a different animal. And, I think most people know because it's the Veterans Administration that you're seeing a specific population. But will you talk about that a little bit more?
The population of veterans is really the reason why I'm at the VA. I love the veterans. A lot of our veterans know one another. And so, right when they come in the door, they see someone that they were in the service with or that they know. And, it's just really great to see them kind of reunite. Some of our patients, and this is now before COVID, would come into the VA and they would, go to the cafeteria and play games, play checkers, catch up with their friends, and their service members that they haven't seen in a really long time. So that atmosphere really is what drew me to the VA and keeps me there because I really feel passionate, about working there, and seeing that type of positive atmosphere makes it a pleasant place to work.
In my head, if somebody says VA, I think old men, that's who you see. But I was really surprised I was on rotation because you see a lot of young service members.
We're seeing all ages. I think, the majority of our population are 65 and older. We definitely see more men than women. However, I'm seeing more and more females enroll in the VA, which is a wonderful thing.
But there's no pediatrics, so if pediatrics isn't your thing, just know that you're always dealing with adult populations, which for some people is exactly what they're looking for. So what else is different about the VA, like when we talk about medications and insurance and stuff like that?
So most people that enroll in the VA don't have private insurance. And so how that reflects upon the providers there is that there are no prior authorizations. We do have certain medications or formulary medications that we prefer one over the other, but in general, that's definitely a plus to working at the VA.
And do the patients have to pay for the medications?
It's based on a tier system. Some of them have no copay and some of them have a very small copay.
What about referrals and things like that?
So I can say that is another positive about working at the VA, in that it's an integrated healthcare system. And so all of the veterans, if they go from one VA to another, we have their records on file. Or even if I see a patient and they have an issue that I can't help with, and I can refer them to another specialty or back to their primary care, and can basically talk to them either through placing a consult, which is just an order, or we have a messaging system that we can write a note or a message right to that provider. So that's definitely a plus. It helps with continuity of care, making sure that the veterans are, going to their appointments, showing up and getting the care that they need, but also that they deserve.
And then you don't have to wait for the specialist to send the records back when they go to see a specialist because they're just all in the system. Are there some other things that make it great to work at the VA that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I would also say our telemedicine program is fantastic, especially when it comes to physician assistants and really all providers that prescribe. We can prescribe across state lines. And so what that means is I don't necessarily have to get a license to be a PA in every single state to be able to see veterans in another state. So it makes it a really nice way to be able to connect with provider specialties that you don't have at your own facility as well. And another thing I should mention is if we don't have a specific specialty at our specific VA, or it's very far away from that patient, we actually will try to set up what we call community care. So they'll be able to potentially see providers that are non-VA providers closer to their home.
I didn't even think about that, but the licensing or state licenses that we have to get doesn't apply with the VA, right? You can have any state license but work at any VA in the country, correct?
Yes, correct. Yep.
So for people who know that they might like to live in several different parts of the country one day, or living in one state now, but know that they might move to another state in like the next 5 years, that I guess is another great thing with the VA. Once you're in the system, I assume it's easier to get hired or transferred to another VA?
Sometimes it takes a little while to be able to transfer, but yeah, I would say once you're in the VA system, it can be very much easier to work at one VA and transfer to another one. Yes.
What do you find in the VA that you're at as far as patient load and expectations of time, like how much you get to spend with patients?
Most of our providers carry a full patient load. Some of our providers also do education, have education responsibilities and research as well. So it really depends on that specific provider, the need of that facility. And of course, if someone is not as busy, then, looking at things like telemedicine to add another clinic to their caseload would be an option as well.
On a typical clinic day, like what's your patient count that you usually see?
So right now, because of COVID, my schedule is a little crazy. We're trying not to do like sort of real time consults because it would become very difficult. But we're trying to help our primary care providers taking care of COVID patients. So my schedule from one day to another can be very difficult. But most of our providers will have patients scheduled every 30 minutes. They have a morning clinic and then an afternoon clinic, and then in between time to do documentation, charting, calling patients back, looking at their alerts. And alerts are basically their labs that they've ordered and radiology tests that they've ordered on patients to be able to call the patients to give them that information.
That's another question. Do most VAs, or to your knowledge, or like does your VA have on-site labs and on-site radiology?
The facility that I'm at is actually a medical center. So it's set up just like a hospital. So
Oh,
it has pharmacy, it has radiology, it has the lab for drawing blood and taking urine. And then we have outpatient, community outpatient based clinics, which are smaller facilities. And some of them have radiology facilities, some of them have labs, and some of them just have the providers. But again, it helps them to be able to not have to drive as far or go into the city to have to go to their doctor's
yeah.
appointment or PA appointment.
Yeah, that was one thing I liked about the facility that I had the rotations at, is because they had, on-site lab, they had radiology, and then they had the pharmacy right on site. But they also had a nutritionist that did classes on site. Psychology group was in the same facility, and I realized going through rotations there that the VA has pretty good psychology departments and programs for vets, and I was really impressed by that when I was on my rotations. And they also had some people helping with disability and some other kind of paperwork and life forms things that you get bogged down in primary care. So is that pretty standard? Like, do you have that in your facility?
Yeah, and actually, I can tell you kind of the setup of our primary care. We have PACT teams. So basically, what it is you have your primary care provider, whether that's a physician, NP, or a PA. And then you'll also have a nurse that's associated with that PACT team. And also, primary care will have a pharmacist, and there'll be a social worker, and so it's multidisciplinary, which is great because then the patients can not only see their primary care provider but get all of the care that they need in kind of one-stop shop, which really increases and expedites access to care.
When you're in a just a outpatient clinic, not associated with any medical center and stuff, people are having these issues. It's really hard to know where to turn. But at the VA, you have all of these resources within the VA. And if it's not at your particular facility, you can reach out, I assume, to other VAs or people that have, other places that have the facility.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else was great about working at the VA? I do remember their hours were pretty good. I don't know if that again, holds true. And this was back in 2015, so things change. But if I remember right, it was like a 7:30 to out the door at kind of a 4:30 work day. Does that seem to ring true?
Yeah, definitely. On the outpatient side of things, the outpatient pharmacy closes, our clinics close. So yeah, my schedule is I get there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I leave at 4:30, have a half an hour lunch break. So yeah, it makes it very nice, and no weekends, and no nights, and no on call for me.
So what about benefits with the VA? I think that's one thing that people often think about. It is a government position.
The benefits are good. Health insurance. We also have a retirement plan called a TSP, and we also have a pension. There are other benefits that we have as well for certain people, like debt reduction programs, or like PA school, paying for our
Student loans.
student loans. Thank you. So yeah, I would say there's definitely some perks as far as the benefits are concerned at the VA.
So let's talk about the thing that I care just about the most is time off. So what's the PTO situation like at the VA?
So the VA is very generous with time off. I mean, we all always get federal holidays off, but then we accumulate time throughout the year as well. PAs are considered Title 38 employees, and so we accumulate 8 hours of annual leave per paycheck. I mean, and that's the other thing about the VA is actually we have benefit specialists that do come in or do virtual visits and meetings, and especially when you're getting ready to retire, there's classes and things on how to retire. I mean, because it really is it can be confusing for anyone. So that's another perk of the VA is that they really help you to kind of make sure that you're ready to retire and what your benefits are.
Is it like the military? Like if you're 20 years at the VA, then you have a full retirement package?
Yeah, so there are different levels. And to be honest, I haven't learned too much about it. I'm sure I've taken a couple classes, but I'm so far from retirement that I don't think about it yet. But I can tell you that my plan and my goal is to stay with the VA until I retire because, I'm very happy to working there.
I want to talk about the benefits a little bit more because I think that that is one of the greatest perks about working for the VA. I went and looked up the veterans. This is from vacareers.va.gov/benefits. And you can go look and it'll tell you all of the benefits because they're standard across positions all over the VA. It's not, the benefits are not dependent on the particular position that you're working in. Now your salary is, but the benefits are stay the same. Jen said that PAs accrue 8 hours of PTO per each pay period. There are 26 pay periods per year at the VA. So that means that you accrue 26 days off per year, assuming you work 8-hour shifts. Now, in addition to those 26 days of PTO you get per year, you also can take 13 days of sick leave, plus you also get paid for the 11 federal holidays every year. So that comes to 50 days off per year. And if you divide that out by a standard 5-day work week, that comes to 10 weeks off per year that you get when you work at the VA. That is pretty great. Having that time off, I think that that is an essential thing when providers are looking at a job is how much time do you get away from the job? And are you actually able to take that time off? No matter what kind of job you work in, everyone needs that, but especially when you're working in medicine, you need that time away to totally recharge and just step away. And the government retirement program is pretty good. They will contribute 1% of your salary every year to the fund, and they will match whatever you put into the fund up to 5%. The VA retirement plan is also very flexible. The Federal Employees Retirement System FERS plan, FERS, says you're eligible for monthly retirement benefits after just 5 years of federal service. One thing I'm always curious about is trying to identify places that have some good systems in place for mentoring and developing people, like when you come out of school or if you're changing specialties. And again, I would assume it's very facility dependent, but are there any kind of programs or any kind of just general feeling at the VA of being more of a place of learning and mentorship or not?
So we don't have any specific mentorships that I'm aware of, especially at my facility, but I'm not aware of any other facilities either. But it's definitely something that we're looking into as far as, maybe down the road a little ways.
So it's not like a general culture like in university health systems where they're teaching hospitals, so they're set up to teach. It's not really that kind of environment. normally.
Right.
So we talked about a lot of the good things about the VA, but every place has its downsides. And what would you say are kind of the negatives that you have found of the VA system?
I don't really have a lot of negatives to personally. One thing I will say is that sometimes the onboarding, the hiring process can take a long time, and that's really because the VA is trying to do a really good job of vetting the employees that are coming in, because these are the people that are going to be taking care of our veterans. So there is a background check. We do have fingerprints that we need to take, and the credentialing, which at any hospital or facility can take a little while. So that's, the only drawback that I've seen is that that process can take a long time. But anyone that's coming into the VA and getting hired through the VA, just know that it can take a little while, but to stick with it because it's definitely a wonderful place to work.
So you haven't, in your experiences, you haven't experienced much of that, that people don't seem to be in a hurry or that things run a little slower at the VA, like in the military. Sometimes things can run a little slower and move a little slower. Any issues like that that you've noticed?
No, I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit as far as easy things that are done in the private sector that maybe take a little bit more time in the VA because there's a protocol or a policy that is set in place that, kind of guides us and takes a little bit longer than it maybe should. But no, the VA has made a lot of improvements over the years. And so, we're trying to become a high reliability organization, make our processes more smooth and efficient for the betterment of our veterans and our employees.
You talked about that the patients don't have outside insurance, right? They're covered by the government. In the private sector, and when you do the charting, you have to sign all these different codes. You have to make sure that all your billing is right. Does that still exist in the VA? I mean, do they still have to do all that stuff so they can track it?
Yeah, so we do, they ask us to have our encounters or our billing done by the end of clinic or by the end of day. So, yes, we still do billing. And there are the veterans that have private insurance, we do build their insurance also. Yeah.
The notes are supposed to be closed by end of business day every day?
I mean, that would be the recommendation. Same as, in the private sector where they want to have your billing and certainly your notes completed in a timely manner.
Yeah, timely, but that's different than necessarily the end of the business day, so I didn't know if it was a hard and fast rule. I assume you've used other electronic medical record systems besides the VA. How do you feel like the VA system compares to other, like Epic or other EMRs?
So the electronic medical record system that we have right now in the VA is called CPRS, and I find it great. It's very efficient, fast. I can do templates, and everything integrates. I mean, I think it's very good. Yeah.
I assume autonomy for APPs is like it is in most places. You're seeing your own patients, you have your own panels. There are physicians around you can talk to, but there's not any kind of thing in the VA that your patients have to be seen by a physician or anything like that.
Yeah, so most of our PAs in the VA system have full autonomy. So they really just call on their collaborating physician if and when needed.
Is there anything else that you can think of that we haven't really talked about that you think is kind of unique or different or special or just great about working at the VA?
So something else that I would encourage PA students or just PAs to do, or just to know that is the VA has some postgraduate residencies specific to the VA. So our postgraduate residency programs include mental health, primary care, geriatrics, and emergency medicine. I think those are great opportunities to take advantage of doing more schooling after getting your PA degree.
If you get into those residency programs, is there the intention that they would love to then have you work at the VA? Is it a good vehicle to get into the VA?
Yeah, that would definitely be a way to sort of get hired into the VA. And same as doing, rotations with the VA as well. At my facility, I'm trying to expand opportunities for PA students in the area to come and learn from us. And obviously, we want high quality students to then potentially hire for, as high quality employees.
So the VA has a lot of good benefits that help offset salary, but if we're talking just straight salary, how do you feel it's competitive with civilian clinics?
So that is a very hot topic now with the VA. Typically, most VAs are looking at market pay to be comparable. So that is the goal.
Are the VA jobs like on the US jobs usajobs.gov, or is that the website that they're on that you find VA jobs?
usajobs.gov.
Oh, okay. And so any VA around the country, if there's openings, they'll be listed there. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I know that you said part of what you really love about working at the VA is the veteran population and serving those who served our country. But you go beyond that. You're actually involved with a veterans organization. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what the organization is and what they do?
Yeah, so it's VAPAA, which is Veterans Affairs Physician Assistant Association, which is separate from the VA, and it's a constituent organization of AAPA. And really, what we do is we make efforts to try to move the PA profession and the VA system forward for the benefit of our veterans to be able to increase and expand access to care, making sure they have safe care, and other things like that.
So I assume that there's a website that people can go to get more information.
Yes, it is VAPA.org.
Just in parting, give us a quick few sentences on why you really think people should consider the VA.
Yeah, so I definitely take a lot of pride in working at the VA. I think there's a great opportunity, especially for PAs, to work there. And I would definitely encourage anyone that's thinking about it to apply or take advantage of our PA residency, our postgrad residency programs.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Jen. I appreciate you being here and giving us a little look inside how the VA runs.
Thank you so much for having me. I really had a good time.
As Jen pointed out, there are quite a few perks of working at the VA. Obviously, it's still medicine. There's still going to be problematic patients. There's still going to be problematic systems in place. And there's still going to be frustrations. But overall, as a system, the VA really does seem to have a lot to offer. So if you don't really care about working with children and you'd rather work with adults and you like the VA population and want to give back to those who served for our country, the VA is a great option, especially if you are concerned about long-term planning and having time off. No matter what health system you work for, you still have to know what area of medicine you want to practice in. Well, if you're still trying to decide, or if you're thinking about switching specialties, then watch these videos here, and you can also go to my main channel page to find the complete medical specialties playlist. Thanks for joining me. Take care, stay sane, and I'll see you next time on the Medicine Couch. Bye.